So last session, that is on the last week, we discussed regarding these rule set and versions. So whenever in the real time any deployment requirement is there or any, if they want to take a backup of application, so they'll be creating a new version and they'll log the previous version. And any old version is logged, what happens means they cannot create the rules in the old version. Any new rules if they want to define, they need to create in the new version. And after locking the old version, directly they cannot edit the rules, but if they want to edit the rules they need to move to the at that time what is the new version is there, in that version they need to edit. And after there is one option called rule set security. So in the rule set security, if any that particular option is chosen, it will be generating some buttons like a check-in, checkout, and private edit. Private edit means if any rule is in locked version, you can see that option, or in the real time, if one person is working on any rule, and if the rule is already in the latest version, so they will get an option as private edit. And checkout means if you want to log the rule, that is any rule if you want to customize or if you want to modify that particular rule, you will be getting a button called checkout. So we need to click on that button and we need to do the modification. And check-in means after you do the modification, you have to check in your changes. Otherwise, I told you, right? If you do the changes, it will not reflect to others. Okay, only for your operator ID, only the changes will apply. So if you don't check in means the changes will not reflect to others in the application, other operators or other developers in the application. So whenever we check out and do the modifications, again we need to check in that particular rule. So then only the changes will reflect to every other operator or every other developer in the application. Okay, so that we discussed in the last session. And today also some technical understanding and some interview questions purpose this topic will be helpful. Practically no need to have any knowledge. Okay, so there are some criteria and rule resolution algorithm that I'm going to discuss in today's session. Okay. See, coming to the criteria, actually what is the use of these criteria means, see in your application when you open any rule or when you map one rule in other rule, what happens means in the background it will identify all these criteria in the back end. Okay, so in the back end one algorithm will be running called rule resolution algorithm, and that based on that algorithm only we are able to fetch any data from the rule base. See, because all the rules will be there under the rule base tables. Okay, so we're able to fetch the rules or we are able to map the rules in the application in the background. So these criteria will be executed. So that all by end of the class we'll understand what is that algorithm and what are all the steps in that algorithm we'll understand today. Okay, so before that it will be that rule resolution algorithm will be executing some different criteria. One is circumstance. See, circumstance, in the previous classes we already understand. This is nothing but some OR condition. So for one or more properties, we'll apply some OR condition. That is, so if you want to add a OR logic for multiple variants. Okay, so if we have some different set of values, so for any variance conditions are there or any multiple records are there, for one or more properties we will be defining some variant conditions. So in the previous classes which we already discussed this topic. So this also is one criteria will be executed in the background when you are calling any rule in the application. Suppose if you call any input, if you give for the properties or if you call any UI design in the flow, any circumstance criteria are there in the application, it is going to verify. Okay, so I don't already we discussed regarding this circumstance, that is enough. Okay, so we know how to implement the circumstance condition. So in your application any properties or any UI designs if you do, so it will check any circumstance conditions are there, it is not going to, it is there or not, it is going to check. Other thing it is going to check in the background is the class and rule set hierarchy. So this I'll just discuss. See what is rule set and class hierarchy means. See in your application if you define any rule, okay, so first of all generally yesterday that is yesterday means in the previous session we discussed about the rule set thing, right? See, by default if you create any rule it will be saved in the user defined rule set. Okay, so any rule if you are calling in other rule or if you are mapping in some other rule, so that it will also check these rule set and class hierarchy it is going to identify. So rule set hierarchy format will be First it will check it in the user defined classes, which is nothing but it will check it in the pattern inheritance. Then if the rule is not there in the user defined classes, then it is going to check it in the predefined classes. See, there are some scenarios where we are going to use the predefined rules also in application. See, if you remember, in sometimes activities will be using PYID, PA work page, so primary, these are all some predefined rules. Okay, so anytime if you are using, again some instructions are there, some activities APIs are there, so those are also predefined rules only, right? Like commit with error handling. So like that, any predefined rules if you are using in application, it will be checking, it will be accessing from the predefined rules and predefined classes, it is going to access them. And sometimes we'll be using some user defined rules in the application, so like that. So any rule, if you map it in some other rule, it will check. Sometimes it will be there, the rules can be there from the user defined rule set, or sometimes the rules can also be defined from the predefined rule set also, it can be defined. Okay. And apart from that, class hierarchy, suppose if you call any section in Flaction or Flaction in Flow, first of all, in the flow, when you execute any flow, it will check whether the rule is from the current class or not, it is going to check. Then it will check it in the, sometimes, say division rules I can use in the subclasses, I can reuse. Or if a rule is in organization classes, I can reuse in the subclasses. So it will check it in the pattern inheritance. And sometimes we are going to use some predefined rules, right? So at the time, it will also check if the rule is not there in user defined classes, then it will take the predefined classes, it is going to check, which is direct inheritance. And at last, some rules we are able to use from the predefined classes also. Like all the APIs come under work or in at base class also. Some APIs are defined. All the methods are defined under the at base class. So like that, any rules if you access, or any rule if you create in the application, so these class and rule set hierarchy also it will apply for every rule in the backend. Don't worry much. This is all backend thing. So this is also one criteria where it is going to identify whether the rule is from the user defined rule sets or from the user defined classes, or sometimes it will be accessing from the predefined rule sets and predefined classes it is going to access. Okay, so that come under rule set and class hierarchy. So this also will apply in the backend. And other one is rule authorization process. Okay, so this rule authorization process is when you add any rule in application, or when you access any rule in the application, that is from your implementation application or not, it is going to identify. So if a rule is in defined in some other implementation application, so you cannot use the same rule in your application, you cannot use. Suppose if the rule is defined under some unity class under the implementation 2, you cannot access that rule in the implementation 1, you cannot access. So that is, so based on access group only we can identify and access the rules in our application. If a rule is defined in organization class means, then you can access in all divisions. But if a rule is already defined in work or data or int under implementation 2 or other implementations, you cannot access the same rules in your application. Within the same application rules only you can access, or within the organization rules, or within the division, same division rules only you can access in the application. So that all come under rule authorization process. Suppose if you call a property in a section, if it is from your application, then only it will be working. If it is from a different application, anyway we cannot access in our implementation application. So what is rule authorization process means, it will identify whether the rule is from the same application or not. Here it will, in order to identify that, it will read the access group. Access group is nothing but, so it will contain which the developer when working on the rules or when mapping the rules in the application, so which application access is there for the developer, so whether he can access the rules from one implementation or more than one implementation. So access group is nothing but, it will identify what is the relation between operator, his application relation, and what portal access is given to him, and what access roles are given to him. All those come under access group. See, by default here all the permissions are there in the default application, but in the real time they can restrict the access. So even from same application also, some they can restrict access in the real time sometimes. Okay, so based on your user ID, so these access group settings and all will be set in the real time. So it can be different for every developer in the real time, but in the personal edition we are getting complete access. So we're able to access any rule we can access in some other rule in the application. But in the real time when you work, sometimes module level access will be given, or some division level access will be given. So that all come under so rule authorization process, which is nothing but access group. See where you see this access group option, when you open your operator ID, go to studio and open operator rule form or operator ID. See directly also you can click on access group, but I'll show it from the operator level. So actually for every developer this access group or authorization is given. So based on that, here access group given is alpha auto administrators. So that is, so we are able to access only the rules defined under these access group. Suppose if you open this, so which portal access is given, what are the access roles? Okay, so you are given these currently we are in the admin studio. So apart from that, so you will be getting some other things like what are the available roles and all. I'll discuss in the coming classes these all. So these are all some access roles. Okay, and internally some privileges will be there. So that all I'll be discussing in the security topic you will be getting. So then I'll be discussing in detail about this one scenario I'll be doing. So where you will understand better about these access roles and all. But don't worry, this in the real time, these all just interview purpose they'll be asking. So only for that purpose you must know. If they ask to explain what are the criteria and all, so what are the different criteria will come when we are accessing any rules in the application. So then you have to just mention all these criteria names, and so their purpose you have to explain. Okay, so like rule authorization process is nothing but, so a developer, his access group, his application and the roles and all, based on that roles defined. So user can or the developer can access any data or access any rules in the application. Okay. So apart from that, there is one more or two more criteria called rule catchy. See what is rule catchy means, you'll understand by end of the session, you'll understand what is rule catchy. See any rule when you're accessing, see when you execute any flow, for example, see if you execute the customer flow first time, what happens means it will be added to the cache memory. We cannot see that cache memory. Don't ask how can we see. We cannot see the cache memory, but internally in the backend, this cache memory, whatever the rule we access or any rule if you execute in the application, so it will be added to the cache. We cannot see that cache memory, so it is not visible. So any rule if you call, it will be added to the cache memory. Second time if you again execute that one, so directly from the cache we can access that rule. First time means from the rule based table it is going to add to the cache, but from second time or third time if you again try to execute the customer flow design, so it will directly access the data from the cache only. Again it will not fetch from the rule based table, it will not fetch. So like that, this is also one criteria. So sometimes if any rule if you execute, so directly it will be added to the cache, and from next time, second time or third time if you execute the same rule, so it will directly pick the data from the cache memory it is going to pick. Okay, so if you log off and log in back again the data in the cache memory will lost. Again if you execute the flow or anything, it will pick it from the rule based table it is going to pick. So this is also one criteria which will be executed. If a rule is already there in the cache means it will pick from there. Okay, so otherwise if rule is not there in the cache, from the rule based table it is going to pick and add to the cache memory. So this is one criteria. So other one is the rule availability types. Okay. So apart from these four criteria, circumstance, class and rule set hierarchy, rule authorization process, whether the rule is from the same class or not, and whether the rule or classes from the user defined classes or user defined rule sets, or internally any circumstance conditions are defined for the input given. Then rule cache, whether the rule is already there in the cache or it is picking from the rule based table. So these criteria, apart from that, availability is one more criteria. So this practical I'll show you now. Okay, these all no need to do any practical, but this one For understanding the availability types, I'll be just doing one scenario. No need to do in your application, just understand. To understand this, I'll show one scenario. What are the availability types and what is their importance? Okay, we don't do in the real time, but to understand these rule availability types, we'll understand one scenario. See, for this I'll be creating one or two rules. I'll be creating. Before that, let's see rule availability types. 5 types will be there. Okay, so if you open any rule or if you define any rule, by default the availability type will be available. If you observe or not, any rule if you open in your application, which are created in the application manually, like any user defined rule, if you open, where you can see that option availability types means, you can see this is the default availability type. Available is the common thing for every rule we create in the application. So the default available type will be available. So what are the other types are not available? Final, withdrawn, and block. If you remember in the previous classes, I used the option as withdraw for the constraint rule. I mean, when I define the constraint validation, so I told you we can drop any rule without executing. So we can use an option called withdraw. So if you use withdraw, that particular latest version rule, it is not going to execute. I told you. Okay, I'll tell you more about this withdraw today. And other types are not available, final, withdraw, and block. Okay, these are the 5 availability types we'll be having. See, to understand these again, these available types are categorized as available for processing and ignored in processing. In available for processing, two things are there: available and final. And ignored in processing, that is if you want to drop any rules and all, or if you don't want to execute any rules, means there are again 3 options: not available, blocked, and withdrawn. Okay, see, available I'll discuss just now. First I'm giving technical description, then I'll show it practically. See, available means we can update the rule, customize the rule, we can add new versions for that particular rule. Okay, simply saying, so if a rule is available means we can customize that rule or we can modify that particular rule. Just remember that point, that's enough. Okay, if a rule is available means we can modify the rule whenever possible. Okay, whenever there is a requirement, we can customize that rule. If you want to more about that, read the statement. So available means the rule is available to update. It will display the rule in the latest version from the current class, and we can copy from one rule set to other rule set version also. Okay, so available means we can also move the rule from one version to other version. We can move in order to modify that particular rule. And if a rule is in multiple versions, automatically it will access the rule from the latest version. It will access, suppose age is there in version 1 and version 2, but what is the version, the age which is there in latest version is there, that only it is going to access in the application. So if available means, again, if a rule is in latest version, that only will be available to use in the particular rules. Okay, and final means in Pega there are some predefined rules. Many predefined rules will be there. See, final means that is the final rule and there is no further modifications required for that rule. That is, if a rule is final, we cannot further update that particular rule. That is the final. For example, I'll show you some. Let me open some predefined rules. Suppose open this send email notification, one activity will be there. You'll understand about that later. I'll try to open that. Okay, this not this one. Okay, I'll show open some other predefined API. Let me check this. Not all predefined, but some predefined rules will have the type as final. Okay, this is also well. Let me open this API. Okay, there are some predefined rules in Pega, so where they will be set the available type as final. So if availability type is final, see, there is no further modifications required for this particular rule. Okay, so this is a predefined rule. The purpose of this API is, I told you earlier, if you want to fetch any data using report definition, this API will be executed. So this is set as final, that is no further modifications required for this API. Okay, final means that is a final rule and no need to modify that particular rule. Like that, some cases we can also set any user defined rules also we can set as final, so that no other developer will again open that and modify that particular rule. Available means it is available for modification. Final means that is the final rule and no need to modify that particular rule in the application. Okay, without updation. So some rules we can set as a final rule we can set. Okay, then what is not available means, suppose if any rule if I set as not available, if I have agent 2 versions, version 1 and version 2, if I set version 2 rule as not available, then it will drop this rule. This particular version rule will be dropped and it will execute the previous version whatever the rule is there, or in the lower version the next lowest version whatever is there, that will get executed. So when you set any rule as not available, and remember, not available we have to set only for the latest version. I cannot set not available for version 1 rule. So if version 2 is there, I cannot set not available for version 1 rule. I cannot set only for the latest version only we have to set as not available. Then this rule will not get executed and it will execute the rule which is there in version 1. Okay, then blocked if you set means anywhere everywhere the rule will be blocked. We cannot use that rule from any version, we cannot use. Okay, not available if your setting means only the current version will be blocked. Okay, but blocked if you set for any rule, everywhere the rule will be blocked. We cannot use that particular rule anywhere in the application. From any version we cannot use. Okay. And withdrawn, what is withdrawn means, in the current class all versions it will block. Suppose if a rule is there in organization class, division class and work layer, so suppose automatically the latest class is work layer, right? Class hierarchy, what is the class hierarchy? First pattern, then division class, then organization class. So in the class hierarchy, so first of all if a rule is there in work layer, if you withdraw the rule from the work layer class, then it will suppose in the work layer also the rule is there in multiple versions, in version 1, version 2, version 3 it is there. So if you withdraw the rule in the current class, in the current class all versions it is going to withdraw. Don't worry, I'll show it one example regarding this. I'll show it practically one example now. Okay, so in the current class all versions it is going to withdraw. Then if any rule is in organization or division classes in the hierarchy, it will read the rule from the other classes it is going to read, but in the current class it will ignore all the versions, it will ignore. Okay, so like that, difference between not available and withdrawn is, not available means only current version only it is going to ignore, but withdraw means in the current class all versions it is going to ignore. Okay, if age is there in the work layer, all versions it is going to ignore in the withdrawn option. Okay, if you withdraw this version also will not be available for execution. Okay, so like that, these are all the availability types. Okay, so let's do one example to understand only these available types I'm doing. If you want to try, you can try in your application, but not mandatory. For this, what I'm going to do means open a rule set form. In the previous session we discussed, right? Open the rule set form. So go to application definition. Actually, to practically understand this, I want to unlock the rule set version, and again I will lock it after this task is completed. I'm going to unlock the rule set version 1. So how to unlock means expand the settings and click on unlock and save. Rules is the password I have given. Again I will lock it, don't worry. After this scenario I'll lock it again. Now save the form once. So what is the next step is I want to create one property in different classes. Okay, so first of all open the rule set form and try to unlock that one and save it. Now, so to understand these available types, what I'm going to do means, so create one property in work class group version 1, version 2, and in the division class version 2 create one property. Okay, so I'm creating one property called, any name you can give guys, that's your wish. So first of all, in the work class group, version 2, I'm going to create one property. Okay, any name you can give, no worry. So open this. See, currently this is version 2 I'm selecting. Okay, so work class group in version 2 and version 1 also I'll create the same property. So I'm giving just to understand which version property I want to give some static value, so that you will understand under which property, which class property it is. So it is created under work class version 2 or work layer version 2. Save it. Now use save as option. Now create in version 1, same property add in version 1. Maybe you'll get pop-up something, click on OK. Same property create in version 1 also. So here change this label to version 1. See, you have to check in, guys. So you have to check in the rule. So security is enabled, right? So check in the rule. Now one more property, the same property I'm creating in the division class. I'm going to create. So division class is nothing but here. So manually choose the division class alpha and alpha auto. In this I'm creating under version 2. Division class version 2. So to know that, here I'm going to update this label division class version 2. Enough. So save and check in this. Now the property is in work layer version 1 version 2, and in the division class version 2 it is there. Now let's understand. I want to use this property in one section. Add a new section. See, this section I'm creating in the work layer version 2 I'm creating. See, this one I'm creating in the work layer version 2. Open this editor and add this property. See, when you add the property, what happens in the backend? See, even though the property, same property is there in multiple classes, which property will be automatically added in this design? So it will automatically add the property from the work layer version 2, it will be added, right? Okay, it will be adding property from the work layer version 2, it will be added, because that is the in the automatically it will, if you observe this class and rule set hierarchy, once refresh you are unable to see the property, right? Once refresh explorer, expand data model, expand property. So you can just drop this. Okay, you can see work class version 2 it is added automatically. See, what is available type I discuss. So available, if rule is set as available means automatically it will pick the rule from the latest version, because that is the latest version which is set as available. Okay, if nothing is changed as availability types, by default it will read the rule from the latest version. If you want to verify, go to actions and run. Go to action. So here, what is the label if you're getting? That is the rule is accessed from that version. Work class version 2 is accessing. Okay. Now set the type as not available. Okay, I'll set the type as not available. See, not available for which we have to set for the version 2 rule, we have to set in the work clear version 2 rule. I'm setting as not available. So what happens if you set this particular property as not available? The not available will ignore the latest version rule in the current class, and in the current class, if you have any other version is there, it will read that particular version. That is, we are having in the same class, we are having another version is there, right? In version 1 we have the same property, right? So that will get executed. So that is, it will execute the rule called work class version 1 rule, it is going to execute. So run and verify. When you run this now, when I set not available for work class version 2, then it will open the display the rule from the work class version 1 it is going to read. Okay, then let's see the withdraw. Let's understand withdraw. See, withdraw also, always remember we have to set only for the latest version only we have to withdraw. So now again check out this. So what is the thing we set not available? Again change this to withdraw. So if I withdraw the rule, what happens means it will withdraw in the current class all versions it is going to withdraw. That is, in work class version 1 version 2 is there, right? So both it is going to withdraw, and it will execute in the class hierarchy. We have a rule in the division class. This rule is created, right? It will execute the rule from the division class version 2 it is going to execute, because not available means only the current class latest version only it is going to withdraw, or it is going to drop. But if I withdraw the rule current class all versions it is going to drop. Okay, so now execute the section, it will drop both the versions in the current class. Now it will execute the rule from the division class version 2 it is going to execute. You can see here division class version 2. So like that, if you understand the available types how to implement, it will be easy for you to use in the real time. Now set final. Actually the thing is, final always we have to set for the latest version rule. You cannot set final for the any lower version rule, you cannot set. I'm setting final for this. So if you set final, this is final version rule will be executed, and this is the final rule, and without any modifications will not be required for this particular rule. No modifications will be required for the particular rule. Now automatically if you set any rule as final, it will execute the latest version. Work clear version 2 is going to execute automatically. And work clear version 2 is going to execute. And other one is block. So if I block the rule anywhere, so the latest version rule only I'm going to block. If you block the rule in any version, okay, it will not read any rule from lower versions or in other classes. If you have the same rule, everywhere the rule will be blocked. Okay, if I block in one place, everywhere the rule will be blocked. Now if you execute the section, it will not load the property. Any property will not be loaded from any version. Now run the section. So if you run this, you will get blank display. The reason is click on execute. You will not get a here. Property not getting. The reason is it is blocked, right? When property is blocked, you cannot use that property anywhere in the application. So these are the availability types. If I available means it is available for processing, and automatically if whenever the rule is available, it will execute the latest version rule it is going to execute, and we can do any modifications if required. So final means that is the final version rule, and further we cannot update. That is the final rule, and no modifications will be allowed for the final rule. Ignored in processing means not available means current in current class, if we have multiple versions, if you drop the latest version rule, it will read the other version which is there in the current class, it is going to execute that one. Okay. Blocked means if anywhere the rule is blocked, everywhere it will be blocked. Withdraw means current class all versions it is going to withdraw. Okay. So these are the availability types. Sometimes during the backup and all, we are going to set, even as a developer, any during backup and all, any rules if want to block or any rules if want to withdraw. Sometimes manually we'll be changing these availability types for some of the rules in the application. Okay. So that these are all the 5 criteria. So now all these 5 criteria. So before that, once you verify these things, what you can do is open your rule set form. Just for understanding purpose, I created this test property. So after you verify this, what you can do is open the rule set form and again log the old version. So you can again log the old version. Another thing is, in my application, I'm going to remove the security type. Okay, so if you want to keep the security type and test a few days, you can test that in your application. I'm going to disable the security type. Okay, so also if I want to disable the use checkout, so rule set security also will not apply. Okay, so save this one. So both these I locked the. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. There will be something called checked out rules will be there. Give me 1 second. Why is not allowing? Cannot be unchecked. There are records, checked out records. Okay, so I'll tell you what are that, how to unlock those checked out records. Okay, see, if any checked out records are there, means we cannot log that particular version. So but here if you want to see latest version not there, but in the new version we have some checked out records are there. See, I want to show you how to use one wizard called bulk check-in wizard will be there. Okay, so how to use that bulk check-in wizard I want to show you guys. See, there is some menu called here, private menu is there. Okay, if you have any checked out, see any records if you don't check in properly, that is after you save that rule or edit that rule, if you don't check in that particular rule properly, then it will be available under the checked out records. So where you can find out, that means if you click on this next to the search, you can see this menu, right? Checked out menu. So if you click on this, it will show you any checked out records are there, it will show you. So how to bulk check-in? See, no need to do individual check-in. If we have some 10 records or 20 records like bulk check-in, if you want to do, click on these bulk actions. So this process is called as bulk check-in. How to bulk check-in all the records at a time. Okay, if any checked out records in my application right now, only one is there. So enable this, or if we have multiple means select all of them and give some caption. And or if you want to give a bulk prefix for multiple records, if you want to give a bulk prefix, you can give the prefix value and click on insert, so that that particular prefix will add for all the records. It will apply the same prefix will apply, sorry, same check-in comment will apply for all the records. Then you can click on start button, then click on start button, then checkout will complete. Now you can close. If it is showing the tick mark, means checkout will complete, and close the widget. So now refresh this particular form, refresh the form. Now it will allow you to save that one. Okay, now we can save, because if any checked out records are there, it will not allow you to lock or save the form. So if any checked out records are there, you can do bulk check-in. Now if you again click on that, you can see no checked out records you'll be getting. Okay, so if any checked out records are there, sometimes it will not allow, locking will not allow. So if any checked out records are there, we cannot lock any version. So if you get that error message, so do this. Now no records are there, you cannot see bulk check-in. Okay, so that is also one process you can understand. Now in the security also verify. So this security setting and all, I'm going to uncheck this one and save the rule set form. Okay, So if you want to keep, you can keep this. If you want to verify few days and check these private edit check in and check out, if you want to verify, you can select this. Okay, in my application I'm going to disable this checkbox. Okay, so these are the criteria. Now all these criteria combinedly will be calling as rule is resolution algorithm. Okay, so what are the criteria I discussed right now? So combining all these criteria, so there is one algorithm which we have in the application that is in the backend. We cannot see that algorithm, but you must know the points. There are some 10 points in that algorithm. In certifications and interview questions and all, they may be asking what is rule resolution algorithm, what are the criteria in rule resolution algorithm, and what are the sequence of steps it will be executed in the algorithm they will be asking. Okay, so combining all the criterias, we'll be calling it as a resolution algorithm. So I'll open that image. Give me 1 second. So this contains some 10 step points will be there. See here mainly, if you see the, I will first of all read out. This is the rule. Step number 1 is rule catchy. Okay. Step number 2 is choose instances matching with the rule name. I'll read out. See here every criteria, all the criteria for I criteria we have in different stages. You will be getting those. Okay. It will find out the instance rule name with a matching name. Then if it will discard any rules which are not available, it will discard. Or if it will discard any rule, if it is not in the rule set hierarchy, it is step number 4. And it will discard any rules which are not in the class hierarchy, and it will discard, it will rank all the rule name by class and rule set, circumstance, conditions, any are there, it will verify. And then it will discard, if it will add all the rules in the list of selectable items. And then it will have some instances, if any duplicate records are there, it is going to check them. And if any rules are there, any blocked rules are there, it is going to verify. And if no blocked rules, means the finally the rule is available for usage. So like that every criteria will be implemented internally in the algorithm steps. So generally here two cases will be, if rule is there in the cache, what happens? If rule is picking from the rule based table, what happens? So first of all I will tell you, if a rule is picking from the rule based table, which steps will be executed in order, which order it will be executed. First of all, by heart all the 10 steps. Okay, in this algorithm, first of all by heart all the 10 steps. Okay, or make a one document, give a note and prepare, right? This is step number 1, step number 2, step 3, step 4, and all the things you can, it is there in the image, but again if you want to note it separately, you can make a note. Or in interview question document which I'm going to share, all these points will be there again. If you don't want to make a note, in the coming classes I'll be sharing some interview questions document. In that also all these points will be there, okay, in detail. So the thing is here two steps will apply. If rule is picking from the rule based table, means how the which steps will be executed, means see step 1 to step 7 will be executed, and after step 7 the rule will add to the cache again, and after it is added to the cache, then it will execute 8, 9 and 10, it will be executed. So the sequence 1 will be like this. In this algorithm, if a rule is available in the cache, okay, first I'll tell you, if rule is not available in the cache, which steps will be executed, I'll tell you. Suppose if rule is not available in the cache, that is if it is picking from the rule based table, if you want to call any section in flaction or flaction in flow, or any rule, like if you call activity in the UI design or activity in some other activity, if you are calling, if it is picking from the rule based table, means then first step is it will add the rule to the, it will find out with a matching name, it will find out. Okay, then it will discard any rule if it is not available. If any rule is set as not available, it will discard all the not available rules. Then it will discard any rules which are not in the application rule set hierarchy. And the same time, step number 5 is it will discard the rules which are not in the class hierarchy. Then it will rank all the rules, different rules, it will rank based on any circumstance, condition, and any date ranges and all, it will categorize them. And finally it will filter and display the one final rule will be filtered, and this particular rule will be added to the cache memory, which is step number 1. and the rule which is only one rule will be added to the cache finally, and that particular rule it will also check whether any duplicates are there or not. It is going to check for that particular rule, and then if whether they'll check that that particular rule is blocked or not, they're going to check. So finally, if the rule is not blocked, means that particular rule will be available for usage in the application. Suppose example, if you take a UI design, when you map it in the flow, it will check all these things, like not only for one particular rule, for every rule this criteria will apply in the background, or this algorithm will apply for each and every rule we create in the application. These all these steps will apply for each and every rule in the backend. Okay, so finally, if a rule is not blocked, means it will be available for usage in the runtime. Okay, suppose if the rule is blocked or any other things are there, means you see sometimes you may get that if rule is not there, means you will be getting a blank data, or we cannot access that particular rule in the application. Suppose that is one criteria. Suppose again second time if you execute the same thing, so at that time the rule is already there in the cache, that is you did not shut down the server or you did not log off from the application. Then what happens means, again it will not pick from the rule based table, and it will not read all the 7 steps directly. If a rule is there in the cache memory, means it will pick the rule from there itself, then go to step number 8, 9 and 10, it will be executed. Okay, if rule is not there in the cache, means then 1 to 7 steps, and again then 7 to 1 it will add, and again from here it will read the rule from the 8, 9 and 10 steps it is going to read. So this algorithm is fixed, guys. So only thing is, if rule is already there in the cache, means directly 8, 9, 10 will be executed. From 1 to 8, 9, 10 will be executed. If not there in the cache, step 1 to step 7, and after step 7 it will be added the rule to the cache memory, and from here it will read the steps 8, 9 and 10 will be executed. Okay, these all happens in the background. We cannot see cache memory, and we cannot see these algorithm steps also, we cannot read them. But according to the Pega configuration or Pega design level, so this algorithm is prepared and written in the backend. So based on that particular thing, so these steps will be executed, and these steps will be in the background executed in the runtime. Okay, so these are the things, but in the document I have given the numbers I have given, but you should not say numbers in the real time, right? We have to particularly mention the points. If they ask you what is the rule resolution algorithm, and in that case, if they ask you whether the rule is from the cache or not, if they ask you, so if the rule is there in the cache, means then it will find the best instance and check for any duplicates is there or not. Then step number 9 is if any blocked rules are there or not, it will check. If no blocked rules, means then the rule is available for usage, that we have to explain. Suppose if it is picking from the rule based cache, means then it will find the best rule with a matching name. Then step number 3 is it is there under the rule set hierarchy or not, it will check. Step number 4, it will check whether the rule is under the class hierarchy or not, it is going to check. Then step number 5 means it will check whether the best name with a matching rule name, that is step number 5 is it will check whether so it is there in the rule set hierarchy or not, it will check. Then it is there in the step number 6 is it is there in the particularly the circumstance conditions are there or any within the same version or not, it is going to verify, which is nothing but again here rule authorization process will apply. And step number 7 is it will find the best instance and add the particular rule, that is one rule will be filtered finally in step number 7, and this rule will be added to the cache. And again from the cache we know the process, right? From the cache again it will go to step 8, 9 and 10. So anytime this will happen for every rule in the application if it is picking from the rule based table. So once again, so first of all it will find out the best rule, or with a see sometimes I can give the same name for section, I can give same name for fraction, or some other rule also I can give the same name. So with the same matching name, how many rules are there, it will filter all the rules and selected in the step number 2. Then it will follow the other step, that is then after matching selecting all the rule names, maybe some 5 rules can be selected or 10 rules can be selected at that time. So multiple rules will be selected here, but finally here to the step number 7 only one rule only will be filtered. So then it will discard any rules which are in not available, it is going to discard in the step number 3. Then it will check this rule set hierarchy and class hierarchy it is going to check. Then any circumstance conditions or any date conditions and rule, whether it is from the same class or not, it is going to verify, or it is from the same access group or not, it is going to verify. Then filter the rule. Finally one rule will be filtered and it will add the rule to the cache. Then from the cache again it will pick it from the rule based table. It will, from the rule cache it will pick and find the best instance, that is any duplicates are there or not, it will check. If no duplicates, then any blocked rules are there not, it will check, and finally the rule will be available for usage. So like that in the application, any rule if you are accessing in the platform, so these are the steps will be executed. Okay, if are already there in the cache means these three steps will get executed. If not there in the cache means then these rules will be executed. So like that in the application, whenever these any rule if you call it in some other rule, or after creating any rule if you are calling in some other rule, so this algorithm, though it is all backend thing, see criteria are all coming under this backend, but as a developer in interviews, okay, they'll be compulsory asking about these algorithms sometimes. So at that time in interviews on certifications also some questions you may get. So though it is technical topic, compulsory go through this topic. Okay, though it is practically not required, but technically you must have some understanding and what are the criteria and algorithm points and all, what are the steps in the algorithm. So that knowledge you must have as a developer. So that's the reason, though it is not practically important, but technically it is important as a developer to understand all the backend part. Okay, so go through this. So more about these notes and all, if you go through, that is also enough. But just once review these notes. Okay, once review all these points once, and just by heart these points. Okay, algorithm, in the algorithm what are the 10 step points we have, all these points just by heart them. Okay, so that is about this algorithm, guys. So go through this. Okay, new topic I'll continue in the next session only, because if I start also I cannot continue. So go through these things. So algorithm and all, though practically not required, technically it is required for the developer. Any explanation in interviews if you want to explain them, so you must have some technical understanding, right? So just by heart these things. Okay, even availability types also compulsory they'll be asking. Okay, so availability types also important, and availability types practically also you're going to implement in the real time, because during packaging or during backup and all, so some rules and all we are going to block, some rules we will set as final, some rules will set as not available, some rules we are going to withdraw, that which rules to perform availability you will get a requirement. So if you know the complete understanding of available types, then only you can do those things, right? So available types will be using again practical in the real time. Okay, compulsory you must have knowledge on availability types. Other things and all, just to read the technical notes, that is enough. But available types, just try to do some scenarios in your application, like how I did one scenario. So try to create some test properties and verify, so that you'll be getting some practical knowledge on that. Okay, so that's for today. So go through this and I'll continue in the next session, guys. Okay, so thank you, we'll meet tomorrow, guys.